Hello and welcome to the 49ers First and 10 podcast, 10 minutes of the most up-to-date 49ers news first thing in the morning. I'm your host, Brianna McDonald, and I'm joined by 49ers team reporter, Lindsay Polares. After a restful bye week, the 49ers are back at the team's facilities and have their first practice today as they prepare for their game in Jacksonville this Sunday against the Jaguars. However, there was some pretty big news coming out of the bye week right at the NFL trade deadline as San Francisco acquired defensive lineman Chase Young to fortify the 49ers pass rush heading into the second half of the season. Lindsay, can you tell us the details about this trade?
Yeah, so the trade was officially official as of Wednesday afternoon, late afternoon. The San Francisco 49ers acquired defensive lineman Chase Young in exchange for a compensatory third-round pick in next year's draft. So what they're getting in Chase Young, he's a former second overall pick of the 2020 NFL draft. He was also the AP NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2020. And he's going to be reunited with a college teammate of his that we know was the 2022 AP NFL Defensive Player of the Year. So that's going to be a happy reunion, I think, for the two former teammates. So John Lynch has kind of developed this, maybe not reputation, but he definitely has never shied away from a trade at the trade deadline and anything to put the San Francisco 49ers in the best position to win. This was certainly a move in that direction just to put the team in the best position heading into the second half of the season.
We got to hear a bit from the general manager after this trade, and he broke down the team's process to getting Chase Young. So can you give some insight as to why San Francisco was set on trading for Chase when they already have a stacked defensive line with guys like Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead and some newer additions like Javon Hargrave, Cleveland Ferrell, and Randy Gregory? Why was it important for the team to make this move?
Yeah, so I think for a variety of reasons, starting with the fact that it's no secret that the San Francisco 49ers are making a push towards the bigger goal. We know this team is one that has been knocking on the door of a Super Bowl win for several years, really since 2019 and that Super Bowl appearance. And since then, they've made 2 additional NFC Championship game appearances. And the 49ers are all in. And so that means, like I said, setting themselves up for success in the second half of the season. Currently, the 49ers are on a 3-game losing streak. They want to bring some new energy and really be able to apply pressure to quarterbacks in weeks 10 through 17. And so what we heard from general manager John Lynch is that this was the best deal to be had. Chase Young was somebody that was on his radar for quite some time. There's obviously a relationship with the general manager of the Washington Commanders since he was formerly part of the organization. So that definitely helps the relationships around the league to get things going. But one thing that John Lynch did say is that this was not a for sure deal heading into the trade deadline. He went to bed the night before not knowing if anything was going to materialize. In the end, it did, and it happened roughly between the hours of 10 a.m. and 11:30 on the day of the trade deadline, and it worked out. And we were on a bye week. The San Francisco 49ers did not play in week 9. So Chase Young arrived to HQ really when the building was kind of empty. So Monday, later today, will be his first official practice with the team. I know that there's definitely a good energy surrounding the trade. And another thing that John Lynch mentioned was that, there was a lot of excitement from the locker room about this acquisition.
But ultimately, we felt like this would give us a boost. We really like Chase's film. We like where he was. I think the proof is in, what's translating on the field. And he's been playing a lot and looking, really good. And we didn't want to do it just to do it. We feel like we have, independent of Chase, it's something we talked a lot about coming off the tough stretch that we're on. Everyone needs to look inward, not outward, because there's no magic pill. The answers are right here in this building. And so we didn't feel like we necessarily needed, to go do something. And we weren't going to be reactionary to, our recent streak. But we've all along, we just felt like if the right thing transpired, and ultimately, we thought that this was something that would really help us when you have wholesale conviction as a building. So I think it was a good team effort, and hopefully Chase can give us a lift the rest of the way. I know we had some excited people around here. We had some excited players, and we needed a little lift after our recent stretch.
So some other things to watch are the impending returns to a few players who were injured before the team's bye. So Lindsay, who are some players we should keep track of, and how can this week of hopefully a health reset help improve the team heading into Jacksonville as they look to break their streak of losses?
Yeah, so definitely rest and just a reset can be beneficial for the entire team who had a tough first half of the season. The 49ers are a very physical team, and that sometimes results into just getting a little banged up. First person that we're keeping an eye on is linebacker Dre Greenlaw, who actually was officially listed on the injury report right after that week 8 game with a shoulder injury. It appears not to be incredibly severe because head coach Kyle Shanahan described his status as day-to-day, but Dre Greenlaw is a guy that has been battling just a number of small kind of nicks and bruises, whether it's a shoulder injury or ankle and hamstring issues over these first 8 weeks. So getting some time off is going to be big, especially since Dre Greenlaw plays such a big role playing in tandem with linebacker Fred Warner. Another player to look forward to, hopefully the return, is all-pro left tackle Trent Williams. His ankle got rolled up on against the Cleveland Browns in week 6, and he has not appeared. He gutted that game out and was able to finish, but he did not play in week 7 or week 8. Head coach Kyle Shanahan said the hope is to have him back in time for practice today on Monday. So we'll keep you posted on whether that happens or not. Another guy, wide receiver Deebo Samuel, he suffered a hairline fracture also in week 6. The hope, according to the head coach, also was to keep him from playing in week 7, 8, and also obviously the bye week, and see where he was after this week of rest. So hopefully looking forward to him returning to practice as well. And in general, the team just needed some time off after a grueling first half. One guy that we don't expect to see back is offensive lineman Aaron Banks. He suffered turf toe against the Cincinnati Bengals, and he's expected to be out for a few weeks. Pretty vague, but head coach Kyle Shanahan said maybe 3 weeks. So again, we'll also keep you posted on that.
All right, we'll keep track on the status of all these players and have all of the latest updates available on 49ers.com. But now that we've reached the halfway point in the season, let's check in on our division and how the NFC West is stacking up. Lindsay, you wrote a roundup on the division during the bye, and over the weekend, all 3 other teams lost their contests in week 9. So how's the division looking for the Niners now, and how important is a win on Sunday, especially when it comes to standings?
Yeah, so headed into week 9, the 49ers were actually second in the NFC West. But as you mentioned, because the entire division lost in week 9, you can Google the NFC West standings and the 49ers are back on top. But again, it's a pretty neck and neck race with the Seattle Seahawks. So getting back on track in week 10 against the Jacksonville Jaguars is going to be huge, and also just kind of a tone setter for the 49ers headed into a big second half of the 2023 season.
All right, well, that will do it for today. Thank you so much, Lindsay, for joining me in this update. Don't forget to follow First and 10 on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Turn on the notifications so you're in the know when we post any breaking news updates. And thank you, Faithful, for tuning in.